name is Mrs. Sinzaleski.
And I'm Ms. Kunert.
And we're here to introduce a combined language arts and social studies lesson.
Please bear with all of your teachers during this changing times, as we are not used to presenting to an empty classroom. And we hope that you can get everything you need from these small videos. And if you don't, please feel free to email any of your teachers direct.
Social studies and English and language arts share a powerful connection. While reading an article in history, students are using the skills they have learned in the ELA classroom to analyze and determine meaning. Often, authors of articles, texts, etc. unknowingly have a bias when writing about historical topics.
This lesson is to analyze and evaluate the ways that certain texts show bias, point of view, and the author's purpose. When watching the news on TV or reading an article in class, understanding how to pick out fact from opinion, bias, purpose, and point of view will help the audience determine the reliability of sources and develop a better understanding of history.
First, let's start with some vocabulary terms that are helpful. Bias is our first vocabulary term. Prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. Purpose, reason or goal as in the author's purpose. Fact, a specific detail that is true based on objective proof. Opinion, a personal value or judgment. Source, someone or something that provides information. Reliable, consistently good in quality or performance, able to be trusted. Unreliable, not consistent or of good quality. Point of view or perspective, a particular attitude or way of considering a matter. To verify is to check or prove that something is accurate. And finally, find evidence, the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about what is bias. The definition said it was a prejudice in favor of or against one thing compared to another. What does that mean? The person writing or speaking might lean one way or another while presenting information. For example, a history textbook in the United States might present information about the American Revolution differently than a textbook in Great Britain. A documentary in Japan might present the dropping of the atomic bombs in 1945 differently than a documentary made by Americans. A newspaper article discussing the spread of the COVID-19 virus would be presented differently in China than one written in the United States. How do you go about detecting bias in text and media? There's different types of media bias. The first is bias by omission. This is leaving out one side out of an article or a series of articles over a period of time, ignoring facts that tend to disprove liberal or conservative claims or that support liberal or conservative beliefs. Bias by omission can either occur within a story or over the long term as a particular news outlet reports one set of events but not another. To find instances of bias by omission, be aware of the conservative and liberal perspectives on current issues. See if both the conservative and liberal perspectives are included in stories on a particular event or policy. We also have bias by selection of sources. This bias can also be seen when a reporter uses phrases such as experts believe, observers say, or most people believe. It's when an author, newspaper, website, or book does not use a wide variety of sources or only uses sources to support one side or view. We have bias by story selection. This is when a website, newspaper, or textbook picks and chooses which stories to highlight or cover. We have bias by placement, where an article or story appears in a newspaper or magazine tells how important the topic is to the newspaper, magazine, or even a textbook. For example, they might place certain stories at the front or at the middle, depending on how much they want to highlight that story. Bias by labeling. It's when describing an article or information, the media puts certain labels on their articles or headlines to make it more attractive to certain groups. And then we have bias by spin. This happens when the media only describes one side of a story or event. This is also an example of textbooks that might only have one perspective on a historical topic.
Fact versus opinion is also important when determining bias in a news article or in a textbook. When watching the news, reading an article or text, it's important to be able to tell fact from opinion. When you write about a topic, it is also important to keep your facts straight and sometimes keep your opinions out. An author's viewpoint or bias can be found by analyzing their use of certain facts or omission of other facts or opinions. Facts are objective, they're verifiable, and they're presented without bias words. For example, if I state that oranges are a citrus fruit, that's a fact. We can verify it. However, opinions are not objective, they're not verifiable, and they are presented with biased words. If I say oranges are the best fruit, the term best means that I'm implying an opinion. The author also has a purpose when writing a book, or when writing an article, or when doing a news story. Do they want to inform you? Do they want to entertain you? Do they want to persuade you? How does the author's bias or point of view influence the audience's understanding of the topic?
Looking at text structure, the way an author presents information in his or her text structure, the same could be said of a news article or media report. There are different types of text structures that are used, such as list or classification, definition and example, compare and contrast, cause and effect, problem solution, counter argument or rebuttal, premise, support and conclusion, or a narrative. All of these text structures can be used to present some kind of bias. Loaded language. In using loaded language, you can also persuade or present bias within your articles. Things like powerful words or language that reveal the author's point of view or their opinion. These words are often meant to inspire a certain response from the audience. Examples would be something like when authors or reporters use words like awful, devastating, amazing, ugly, beautiful. They're trying to get the audience to form an opinion about a topic.
Do you have any questions about the assignments? Please feel free to email your language arts or social studies teachers directly.